Hi everyone, how's it going? I'm Scott Marceau, Artist Relations Manager for Yamaha Guitars, and welcome to Yamaha Guitars My Guitar Breakthrough. Today I'm talking with Krissy Morash of Escuela Grind, and she's a ripper. So let's get going. How you doing, Krissy?
I'm doing good. I just got back from tour, 2 a.m. last night. We were just on tour Baroness. What a treat that was. So I'm
Yeah,
feeling pretty good. I'm on 3 cups of coffee. Yeah,
awesome. And
yeah,
then and then before we even get into that, like when do you go back on the road? It's quick, right?
yeah. So I have a Halloween show that we're playing with a band called Keanashi that's coming up on the 29th, and then we head out pretty much the day after that, the 30th. We're going on tour with Napalm Death and doing some dates with Unearth as well. So I'm
And
really
that's
excited.
that's in Europe, right?
This Europe, yeah, it's first time in Spain. I'm really looking
Oh,
forward to.
amazing.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm getting
Congrats.
spoiled out there.
And where is home for you? Where is home for you?
So home for me is Albany, New York, like Troy, WhyEscuela area, and
Sure.
so we practice in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, which is like as Western Mass as you can get, and it's like about an hour commute for me. It's like all mountains over here. You can make a lot of noise, so I think I'm in the
That's
right spot for now.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So, before we kind of get into like your breakthrough, maybe let's just talk about how you even got connected with Yamaha, what that process was like, and like how
Sure.
this all started, basically.
Well, I actually think it started with this guitar. Honestly, technically, it started with this guitar.
I think so.
My girlfriend's kind of the Yamaha freak, and she really likes the old school guitars, and we do a lot of selling of gear and whatnot. So when Alexandra pushed me on to try out one of the Revstars at Yamaha, I was able to reach out. I'm pretty sure you reached out to me
I think
to have
so.
one,
Yeah.
and after playing the first Revstar, it was really nice. I got a feel for like what the neck and the body felt like. Kind of similar weight to like the older style guitars here. But once I got to try the newer Revstar from y'all, the chamber bogging everything, like it like opened up like a whole new path for me being comfortable on stage as a musician. I don't know how
Wow.
else to preface that, but yeah, I don't the break. I mean, I you were in the right place at the right time for me because my guitars were falling apart. I was playing an Ibanez RGA, and it was just like dings and cracks all over it. The top string kept breaking. I don't know why I couldn't keep it on, but you offered like, hey, let me help you out, and I got to play it in Europe. I think that was like I don't know if many other Rev Stars at the time were out in Europe, so people kept asking me like, what is that guitar? Like it looks like a muscle car or something, and yeah, I really enjoyed showing off that guitar the first
Yeah.
tour.
It's been great seeing you play it. And, even me, like I get lots of artists asking about who you are and what, what guitar that is. So it's really helped Yamaha too. So I wanted to say that.
Great, because I always see, I see really impressive musicians playing these guitars, and it's like when I'm out there playing like a different style of music that a lot of people won't expect to see a guitar like that being played on. I feel like it makes me feel more like a virtuoso, like I don't know. I feel like one of the greats holding one of those.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
So we're here to talk breakthroughs with artists about kind of when they've leveled up in their either musical life, excuse me, or career wise. So, what was a breakthrough for you that you think kind of leveled you up?
a breakthrough for me. There's so many different levels to that because I feel like in the last 3 years, like we've definitely changed as a band, and our trajectory and our fan reach has really like broadened in terms of different styles. People who like different styles of music getting into us. So I guess like when I realized something that I was doing felt right was like seeing kids younger than me being inspired to pick up an instrument and do like music that might not sound like something that would be on the radio, you know what I mean? And to inspire people to feel like they can go out and do that themselves. Um, for foremost, that has been the most motivative experience for me to stay on the road. It really feels like I have a purpose, being on stage.
Wow, that's really great.
Yeah,
Um, that's
it's
really
special.
cool. Yeah, I mean, your band, I guess behind the scenes. So your partner reached out to me and she was like, I kind of have this thing, but my partner Krissy, like her band's about to blow up, and you really should. Sometimes, even if I'm not in the middle of a scene, like you kind of take clues from other cool artists, and it's almost like horse racing sometimes. Like you just got to be like, okay, I think this artist is going to pull ahead, and you did, and pretty quickly too. So
Yeah.
it's just been wild seeing. What do you think? What do you think is the reasons or some of the reasons that Escuela Grind has kind of blown up so quickly? I mean, it's only been about like past maybe year and a half, things really, really like started heating up, right?
Right. I mean, I always think like when something blows up, it usually means that it's taken the space of something that, hasn't really been accessible yet, or I feel like it's always people fill these spaces or these voids like where people want something and they don't know they want. So I do feel like me and my bandmates do have like a presence on stage where we're filling like a certain void of something that they don't normally see, on stage. And I find it's really important, as a trans woman and my bandmates are people of color. I'm sure that's really inspiring for a lot of younger kids out there that, are trying to find their footing right now and might not have a community to express themselves through yet. So I'm sure when people show up to these other shows where we're opening for Bearing S and these other big bands, it probably feels magical for them in a way. And I remember feeling that way myself towards tons of bands, AFI. I could go on Turnstile. There's all these bands that, make me feel younger and make me feel more unique to myself. And I really hope I hope that's the impression we give off at our shows.
Yeah, I've only gotten to see you once. I certainly got that impression, and I
Yeah,
know
that's the
you.
last time we saw each other was LA. Yeah.
Yeah, you were playing at. Well, it's a good example of. I mean, you were playing at a pretty big venue called. Was it? What was that venue called? I'm saying it now, and
I couldn't tell you now.
I think it's the El Rey. It was the El Rey.
It's LA Theater. Yeah, correct.
But I remember the first time you swung through town, I had to miss it. You were playing just like a small. I don't even know if it was a
tiny.
club.
It was a
Yeah.
tiny club. Yeah, with Exhumed. That was a fun one. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
way different vibe, obviously. So like different stages, different bands that we were playing with. So
yeah, and we were doing filming with another artist at this same venue, this El Rey, which is this big venue, and all of a sudden I see an ad for Escuela Grind playing here. And so, I mean, this was less than 6 months or 9 months from the last time you were here, and you went from playing like really a small club to a room in LA that a lot of established artists won't ever play. So it was pretty cool. So that was maybe a breakthrough for me, like to see a band like really kind of get to that next level so fast.
that means a lot to us.
Like how do you keep that momentum up? I mean, I know you tour so much. You just got home and then you're going to Europe, and I think how many times have you been to Europe this year? This will be the second or third
This will be
time.
the third time. Yeah, the third time this year. My fourth time ever.
Wow.
Within 2 years. So we've been to like 24 different countries in the last year, and these are places that like I've never even thought I'd be seeing. So the fact that I'm able to use, that Yamaha has helped me in a way, and I have a whole team behind us, to make this, a reality. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great. What do you think that playing in Europe to the metal crowds out there? Is there a difference you think between the U.S. audience and the European audience?
It is so much different. There's so much high energy at some of these shows in the States that I don't think we really understand. Like we take for granted sometimes. In terms of going out to a DIY show here in the States is a way different vibe, I think, than going to a show in Europe. But we play with a lot more established bands out there, and there's a lot more people that are like kind of skeptical of our presence before we play, so I think a lot of people get an idea of what we might sound like in their heads that doesn't quite match, our sound. And
Yeah,
I definitely think we put off a certain impression there that were unexpected impression. But here in the States, we're giving them everything I feel like they really want and expect in terms of velocity in performance and, just sonically. It's a lot of hardcore shows here. There's so many kids that are younger than me that are beating each other up at these shows, and it's kind of inspiring.
that's wild. Um, that's great. Some questions. I was telling you before we started, we got so many questions from fans for you. So I wanted to go through some of those real quick. Some of them are gear related. So the guitar you're playing itself, I believe it's an RSS 20,
Yes.
and we've kind of hot rodded for you. You're actually been like a stress tester for us. Like
I have. I'm like the guinea pig for your guitars.
Yeah, for like
like
God,
crash
I
test
don't know where you
dummies.
were. Yeah, you like I ripped
It was
Krissy ripped.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, Krissy is a stress tester. She like, we got the guitar back after you put it through some tours, and it was like, wow, like, like you really,
Looked like a completely different guitar. I'm sure when it got back
yeah.
to y'all. Some
We had to mod the strap area so that those screws didn't pull out, and some other things that our luthiers here who work on artist guitars are like, wow, she's the real deal. Like, she takes things apart.
I love that. Yeah,
We
I'm trying to give y'all some work.
No, it's great. Well, I think we put a Tone Pros bridge on, and that just kind of, I don't know if you can hear the difference, but it's a
Oh,
more solid.
definitely.
Oh, you
Even
can?
just
Okay,
like
great.
in terms of feeling the sustain in the guitar, it's way different. It's completely
Oh,
different. Yeah.
okay, good. That's awesome to hear. And you use EMG pickups, right? Someone asked what kind
Yeah.
of pickups you're using.
Yeah. So
So
those I think those are just Chrome cover classic EMGs. Y'all put those in for me. That was really sweet of y'all.
yeah, of course, that's what we do. We have a custom shop here. I'm coming from our custom shop in Calabasas, California. Um, and this is kind of like the lab where we create custom artist instruments. And when artists need service, we bring them here, and it's pretty cool. Uh, so, okay, so we put the EMGs on, we put locking tuners, and then what strings do you? So let's talk about your tuning and strings. So
For
what
sure.
tuning?
So Escuela Grind, we started the band in drop B tuning, which is the first record Indoctrination. You can hear it's a little bit sharper than what we play now. Now we playing drop A. We decided to drop it down like a whole step. We playing drop tuning just because of how I think that's just how we started writing music in the band before I was even in the band. So in terms of strings, I tend to use the Dario NYXLs when I can.
Yeah.
I usually just go for the XLs when I can find them. It's just like whatever I can find in Guitar Center, that's local to the venue. That's usually what I use. But the heaviest I can find usually is a 1362. Lately, I've been enjoying the 1260s from NYXLs, the
Oh, okay.
Dario. It's just a certain there's a certain grab to a 1362 that's like it's like whoa. You have to really work for it. I've been playing a lot of lighter guitar picks because of it. Just has a little more flex, so I can really
Interesting.
get through them. I find a lot of people are like they judge me because I'm not using like a jazz 3 pick or something because I play like I'm playing heavy metal, so everyone expects me to be using a thick pick. But in terms of getting like that clean the scoop on like a chug through the
Yeah,
Revstar and hearing all of it, like I find using heavier strings and lighter picks, I just get a certain sound out of it that I really enjoy.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't heard about that pick use. That's
Yeah.
interesting. And Revstars are like a Gibson scale. It's like a 24 and 3/4 scale. So yeah, you got to use those heavy strings to really.
Yeah, and a tuning like that, it feels
Yeah.
a lot better than less loose.
Okay, that's awesome. Um, do you use any pedals live? What's your setup like for tone other than the guitar?
So a lot of so the boring stuff is like tuner wise. Like I use like a Peterson tuner, but I also have a GLXD. I have the receiver, the transmitter receiver, which also has a tuner built in. So people usually clown on me that I have two tuners on my pedal board, but I will say that it helps me in the long run in terms of like just like making sure that I'm like really in tune.
Yeah.
I get really in my head about it, especially when I'm playing, because I'm the only rhythm guitarist for this band. There's a bassist and then rhythm. So I'm just like super in my head about that stuff sometimes. But my secret pedal for doing I usually run two amplifiers at once while playing. I just use a Morley ABY like a pro switching pedal. It has a ground lift. It has a 180 polarized switch. It's something I use every single show. I use it for recording in terms of plugging, like I can plug 3 amps up to it, I can record all those at once. It's my secret weapon.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so it's the Morley AB
They
pedal.
have the ABY Pro, yeah. And
Okay.
they're a little expensive, but I feel like if you make them last and if TSA doesn't like mess them up or anything in your travels, it's a superior pedal compared to like the rest of the I've tried like the big shots and like other ABY pedals, and this one just feels like a solid unit.
Oh, okay, cool. And then someone asked also if how you dial in your tones in Europe. So is that kind of the same way you bring that
Similar,
dual?
similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so something I wanted to try recently was y'all sent me a Line 6 the Helix. Like so I've been playing around with a little bit since I've been home.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
just trying to make new, get new presets for it and whatnot. But one thing that I really appreciate is because I use all my gain and all my sound comes from just the amps. I don't use any other distortion pedals. I don't use any modular pedals. It's mostly I'm just chasing the cleanest signal I can get, and
Wow. Okay.
so I tend to use really big amps here in the States, but I'm using this power amp that SNK Pedals created recently. It's called the VH300, and
Okay.
it's this
Cool.
tiny little amp. It's maybe like about the size of my laptop here, like in terms of size, and 8 pounds, and it fits in my backpack, and I fly everywhere with it.
Oh, sweet.
And it
So
just
that
has the
works.
gain, it has all the gain that I need, all the sound that I have here. It's the same exact sound. So having a little
Oh,
travel size amp, to bring on tour always helps me.
that's so great. What? Let's see. Let me ask some other questions. Okay. Tone wise and riff wise, what are some of your biggest inspirations?
Oh, so like tone wise, I mean like nothing beats like this is funny one because like Kurt from Converge asked us like, well, what do you want the guitars to sound like for the next EP? And I'm just like, I don't know, like what I love and what I know sounds the best is like that Ring and Blood Slayer tone, the guitar, the Carrie King like tone, and
Yeah.
like I really love like the grittiness that you can get from like a Nirvana song and like what they were running distortions through like these quad reverbs back in the day. So it's like that is such a unique sound in its own. So like in terms of blending tone, I think that's where you really start to find like your unique sound. I like really using like tube amps and a mix of solid state amps to achieve this. And this is something that we're always kind of just like chasing in terms of tone. Like me and my bandmate Jesse, like we're really fixating on the sounds that we like, but we're always looking for something new.
That's great. And then influences with your riffs and your playing, who would you say kind of what's your kind of pedigree, I guess?
Hmm. That's hard because like I've seen so many cool bands as a kid, and I'm gonna be like, "Yep, that's what I want to do. That's totally what I want to do as a kid." Like I remember seeing Alice Cooper with my dad. I've seen him 3 times now. It's a great show. But Orianthi was playing for him each time, and I
Oh,
just remember
cool.
thinking like, "That is so cool." It's not just some guy, just like noodling, showing off. Like she was the real deal. She had radio hits at the time, but like she could shred. She
Oh,
can shred.
yeah. I mean, she absolutely can shred. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, so, like, I
Um,
don't know, just, like also Gina from Baroness, I've been watching her the last 2 weeks, like, she's amazing. I'm in love with how she plays, her presence on stage is, like yeah.
no, she's a legend for sure. Let me see. Let's see. Some pedal inspiration. I think we've gone over some good stuff that came in. Oh,
Nice, yeah.
what's the most important thing you look for when picking up a guitar? That's a good one.
That is a good one. I have a really messed up back. I have scoliosis in, like, 2 different places, so the
Oh, okay.
lighter the guitar, the better, and when I found out that the Revstar that y'all sent me was chambered and had chambered body, it was way lighter than the other one I was playing. It was just like that was a deal breaker. I knew I was gonna be playing out on stage every day because in terms of, like, performing, I'm moving around a lot, and to have something that's so heavy on me, that's taking so much on like pressure on my shoulders, and even just like the weight of moving the guitar, like if it's moving too much for me, like I'm really in my head about how I look on stage. Maybe not a lot of other musicians deal with this, but yeah, that was like such a deal breaker for me in terms of like what I look for in guitar is the lightness. But sometimes I want to play like a heavy guitar, while I'm at home. So it really depends on what I'm feeling on stage. Um, I really like the longer necks, the finger necks in terms of being able to get my hands around the fretboard quick. I
Yeah.
know some people like I can't do the baseball bat neck thing. I really can't. I've tried it. I just don't think I have the hands for it.
It's okay. I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah,
Every guitar. I mean, you've got your own unique thing going on. So and it's all
yeah.
good.
Oh,
You know, something I haven't talked to other artists about on this show because it hasn't come up, but as a transgender artist, how has that been? You know, it's a weird climate. So as an artist, has it affected you in your life as a touring artist, or not so much, or has it?
There's times where I will riff with like certain uh like sometimes I won't get along with the venue staff because of it, but I mean, I want to say like there's never really been a show where I felt like I've been out of place or I felt like I didn't have like a place in, I felt like usually when I tour with these certain types of bands, that have never really toured with people that are like open minded about like the pronouns and stuff. I know I can feel how hesitant they can be sometimes to approach certain conversations like that. So I do find lately I've been trying more so to be more inviting about talking about those certain things as a trans person, and I really think it just like clears the air in the room, for people that like might be afraid to like step on my feelings about it. So
Interesting.
it goes both ways, like I feel like I'm educating people that really need it in terms of like not appreciating or not like respecting, my identity. But there's also people I feel like, can really correlate what I'm going through as something that maybe like some of their friends might be going through, or their relatives, or some people in the music community that might also be experiencing that. Like, I can always feel that, and to have, I feel like that is like a certain role that I have on the road is helping people learn about that.
Wow, that's really cool. And is the reception to that any different in Europe, you think, or have you
Oh yeah.
noticed the difference?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people that like I say there's like, in terms of going to like play for like Napalm Death and certain bands, they have a certain political dialogue already present for their
Mm,
shows. So I
yeah.
find it's a lot easier to have that conversation at certain shows. But if I'm playing like Louisiana or like Nashville or something, like there might be some people there that like really are against those ideals, but like we'll probably have, me being there and them hearing about, our presence there is probably something that they really need to hear, like if we were offered a Pantera tour or something today, like I would take it so I can be that presence on that tour and be like, this is how it's done.
Oh, that's really cool, and that's really
Yeah,
brave too. Wow, I didn't think about that. Well, thanks for sharing that. At
of
Yamaha, I
course.
feel like I work with a lot of transgender artists or people on on the LGBTQIA plus you know life, and it's great. And it's no different than working with any other artist. And the music sounds just the same. And so I guess I'm not trying to normalize it, but I just wanted to talk to you about that just because
No, I
you're
really
an awesome
appreciate that because, there's a lot of Europe magazines, that like probably won't even mention the fact that I'm trans, or they will try to avoid it. So to hear that coming from a Yamaha interview right now, it has me so ecstatic. And I'm like, wow,
There you go.
it gives me room to breathe. So thank you.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's a delicate subject, but I think it's it just in today's world, like anyone can be an artist, and there's fans for everyone, and everyone can have their own thing. So that's great. Thank you for talking about that.
Of course.
I'm trying to think of what else should we cover while we're here. What are like some plans for next year with Escuela Grind?
Oh, we have a tour that's getting announced like later in the year that I can't talk about at all. It's two bands that I really love and have shaped my idea of what like heavy music is. So a lot of it's on like the down low. I can't really talk about it, but we have a whole record that we're singing on in terms of recording. We're going to be going into God City Studios in December. We
Oh
have
wow,
a EP coming out hopefully January. I think we should have some singles rolling out soon. We're sitting on so much content and we're staying busy. I think that's really just like what we're doing right now is what we're gonna be doing for like a long time, I think.
that's great. I mean, and then I don't know if so your singer, she was an architect, right? And
Yes,
everyone kind of had their own path and are coming together for the power of music
for
at this
sure.
time.
Like, they're a Cornell graduate, so they had a lot of pride in terms of getting to where they were. So having to see them step down from their profession and do this, as a full time thing, like that's I'm sure there's so many anxieties that go with that. And in
Yeah,
terms of playing music, like I dropped out of art school to do some of this stuff, like, and I put a lot of things on the back burner that I was really worried about. The fact that we're given this opportunity to be on the road, and maybe I can return to that stuff in the future and think about it, is like there's so many options right now for us, and I just can only see that broadening and like opening up even more.
Is there anything that's like scary about getting bigger? Like you've like, you know what I mean, you hit that first hump of success, right? And I've heard from artists that that's actually easier than getting like the next hump.
The
So I
next
didn't
hump,
know.
yeah.
So I didn't
I
know
know.
if yeah.
Oh, I'm
What do you
sorry.
think about that? And no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Like there's like bands that I've been seeing like do this forever, you know. I say there's bands like, you know, Lorna Shore, I'm sure you heard of Lorna Shore, like they've been around forever, you know? And
Yeah.
like the fact that they're still here is kind of insane to me. They've been through like 3 or 4 vocalists or something like that. I don't even know. But like the persistence between like making this what you really want to do and separating it from like what might help you survive, I think honestly everything else just comes naturally. Um, it's
Okay,
really hard
cool.
for me to talk about because this is something I'm very like this is like all new experience for me, you know what I mean? So all I can really do is look up to these other bands that I see like doing the strides that we're taking. And I'm just trying to learn from them in terms of
Yeah.
growing.
What has there been some kind of cool advice you've gotten that you can share, or perspective that you have about, I don't know, just about your art and maybe even like the business of what you're doing from being on these tours? Has anyone given you any insights that made sense?
Um, I guess like just like I had a really good talk with John Baisley from Baroness the last day of tour, and they were kind of talking about our responsibility with our ego in terms of like being musicians. Like we all have such a big ego, you know what I mean? And the responsibility of like getting people to respond to that on stage, you know, is like it's kind of huge, and you don't know how important it is to certain people. Um, in terms of like John was able to really help, you know, this is something that we already know we're doing, I guess, kind of right. And I guess it was just kind of affirming to hear this, but like as long as you know you're using that ego for a good purpose, you're not being self-indulging, like who knows how far that can take you in places. And the coming terms of like accepting that we have an ego, you know, after blowing up and being this big, like you get to use that, you know, for good or bad, you know, it's like a superpower. I don't know how else to explain it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, having the choice for that, you know, is the choice to use that in a positive or negative way is, you know, it's it's kind of
That's
it's
great.
a weird position to be in.
But that's good to know, because people watching this might be in a band or might be in a band that becomes something, and they'll hit that first hump and kind of have to figure it out. I think that's
Right.
it's so inspiring that that's where you are, and that you're using Yamaha. It's a big deal to us and to me. So thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, okay, so I think we'll wrap it up. This was a good chat. Great chat. So Krissy from Escuela Grind, Krissy Morash, thank you so much for your time. I'm Scott Marceau, Artist Relations Manager for Yamaha Guitars, and we'll see you next time.
Love
Okay,
you,
bye.
Scott. See you.